Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dee. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to discuss a really heavy subject. I just saw this piece of news that came out of China that is absolutely tragic, and it touched me because it really hit home. I personally know some relatives that could have been in this person's shoes. Let me read the title first of this news. The internet helped a Chinese teenager find the biological parents who sold him as a baby. When they rejected him again, he took his own life. So this teenager was only 15 at the time of his own demise, which was 4 a.m. in the morning last night, or should I say this morning. I'm gonna read the story first just to tell you what was going on, why this was so tragic, and then I'm gonna give some of my own insights on this, some of my thoughts on this whole tragedy. A teen reportedly died by suicide after his search for his birth parents went viral on social media and they rejected him. Liu Xuezhou, which is the Chinese boy's name, took his own life at a beach in Sanya, a city in Hainan province. The teenager's aunt, Chaimo, a pseudonym, told Chinese media. Sanya police confirmed his death to the Chinese outlet to the paper. Liu's story first came to national attention when he posted a video on December 6th asking for help finding his biological family. The teen said in the video he was born between 2004 and 2006 in Hebei province and was sold by his biological parents to his adoptive parents when he was 3 months old. I would say this practice has been extremely common in China, maybe more often in the past than now, but it's definitely still going on. And I would add to this, if you live abroad in the West, probably like in the US, UK, or North Europe, you might meet at some point an adoptive Asian girl, and more often than not, they're probably Chinese. And if not, they're probably Korean. These Chinese young girls are they're completely healthy, and then a lot of them just got abandoned during the time that first the one-child policy was in place. And I would say most of those girls are pretty much close to my age, because I was born in 1997, and that was just when the one-child policy was at its peak. And in China, it's very rare that people would abandon their healthy sons, healthy boys, because of the son preference culture. In most agricultural countries, people do place a huge emphasis on having sons, having boys, because in their head, boys can help with all the hard labor work in the field. Even though we've moved on to industrialized society where men and women don't really have to do like that many labor work, but people still believe that sons usually hold more value. And also they believe that when you have a son, you are basically going to add more people to your family. But if you give birth to a girl, you're basically sending them away when they get older. And that's the general belief that Chinese people generally hold. And then that's why it's extremely rare to see healthy adopted Chinese boy overseas. And it's nearly impossible because within China, there's a huge demand for healthy boy babies. And this is the case in this story. This young boy, Liu Xuezhou, he was a pretty healthy young baby when his biological parents decided to send him away, or basically sell him. And there were a lot of people that wanted to buy him. There would be a cutthroat competition, basically. So that's the backstory. Let me continue. Liu's biological mother, identified by Chinese outlets only as Miss Zhang, disputes this. She told the paper that they planned on giving their son away and not selling him, but that the middleman who sold Liu to his adoptive parents insisted on gifting them money. According to Liu, his adoptive parents died in a fireworks accident when he was 4. Liu said he then lived with his grandparents, the parents of his adoptive mother, and received child support from his grandparents on his adoptive father's side. Liu said last year that he was working part-time to pay for his studies at a vocational school and was scraping by. Last week, he posted a photo of a house in a really bad shape, claiming it was where he stayed. So it said that he was in a vocational school. In China, if you go to a vocational school, a trade school, that means you're screwed. You're basically your life. There's very little chance for you to make it in the world. I know the electrician that lives probably like 1 block away has a way bigger house than us. So the blue collar workers are doing really well in the West in general, but in China, that's not the case. If you are an electrician or just people of a blue collar, and your monthly salaries would be pretty much below $2,000. And well, that's the higher end. And I know a lot of people only get less than $1,000 for their monthly salaries. And I have a lot of relatives who are working as blue collar workers, and trust me, they're not making that whole lot. Probably like just a couple $100 a month if they're doing well. So yeah, that's this young boy's case before he found his biological parents. Let me continue. As his request for information gathered steam online, police from his home region found his biological father through DNA testing. On December 27th, the teen met his dad in Shijiazhuang, the capital of Hebei, according to Xinlang News. But Liu said his father refused to take him in because he was already raising another family. In early January, Liu said he found his biological mother in Inner Mongolia and traveled to meet her. Like his father, she rejected the teen, saying she just wanted a peaceful life and had her own family, Beijing News reported. So keep in mind, this was all just when he was 15. And according to Beijing News, Liu's biological parents pooled their money and sent him on vacation to Sanya. Liu accepted the trip, but continued to ask his parents to help with housing. They both refused the request. The teen said on Weibo, which is the most popular social media platform in China, and also the platform where he was cyberbullied to death. Just a side note, I was on Weibo 2 years ago, or just over a year and a half ago, and I was bullied on Weibo too, and I only had 3,000 followers. So you can only imagine he had tens of thousands of followers. So it's pretty tragic. He said his mother then blocked his number and social media accounts, calling him a white-eyed wolf. Basically a Chinese term used to describe someone who is ungrateful, cold-hearted, and cruel. 白眼狼. Zhang told the paper that she blocked Liu because he kept asking her to buy him a house, which she said couldn't afford. Liu's father, who the outlet identified as Ding Mo, also a pseudonym, also claimed that Liu had asked him to buy a house for him. However, Liu disputed this on Weibo and said he had only asked that his parents help cover the rent. Liu's story went viral on China's Twitter-like platform Weibo. Liu said last week that he was bombarded with messages from critics and internet trolls. As of Monday, Weibo discussion of Liu's death, search, and relationship with his parents had amassed more than 150 million views, and Liu had accumulated more than 160,000 followers. Most Weibo users supported his campaign and condemned his parents' decision to give him up as a baby. Child trafficking or abduction in China is punishable by up to 10 years in prison, only 10 years. And also more often than not, most people get away with it. I mean, I know my people in my family who would give away their kids and simply because they wanted boys, and they got away with it. And I'm pretty sure this practice was very, very common back then. So let's continue. Two prominent lawyers who regularly covers cases regarding cyber violence also speak out in support of Liu. So on January 19th, earlier this week, or last week, Liu announced on Weibo that he planned to sue both of his parents. Originally, I thought about your children and give up on this, but now I see you have confused black from white and can't recognize your own misdeeds, he wrote. So keep in mind, this boy's biological parents got separated, and before they were separated, they had another baby boy after selling Liu Xuezhou to other people, and then the marriage didn't work out, so they formed their own separate families and then proceeded to have one kid in their each separate family. So think about how Liu Xuezhou was feeling. Basically, he was the only abandoned one for no reason. Well, for some reason, but if you look at all of your siblings, like your half siblings living under a safe roof, and you have to be forced to be roaming on the streets for no reason. It's not your fault. You're just a kid. You had no choice in life, but then you're the one to blame because you're a white-eyed wolf and so ungrateful to the people that give you life. So that's where that young boy was in, the situation he was in. Then on Sunday night, he posted what appeared to be a suicide note to the platform, inciting panic among his followers. In the past couple of days, there have been people attacking and cursing me on Douyin and Weibo. Douyin is basically Chinese TikTok. He wrote in the 10,000 word note, I have endured being called many types of curses like scheming son of a bitch, go and die quickly, disgusting, and sissy. Sissy boy, this is another big thing, because in China, the government is cracking down on this called sissy boy. They don't want Chinese boys to look feminine. And this young boy, Liu Xuezhou, happens to look very clean, almost like a K-pop type of boy. So a lot of Chinese people are not a big fan of that kind of look. And he added that he'd been abandoned twice by his biological parents, but Liu's mother denied she abandoned her son. Since the start, we didn't have the financial ability. Now we don't have that ability. She said in an interview with the paper on January 20th, he's pressuring us to buy him a house without caring if we live or die. His parents also are heartbroken. I really don't think that's believable. I don't buy into his mother's remark because Liu Xuezhou posted a video clip or a recording of his phone conversation with his biological mother. So during the conversation, the mother basically told this young boy that it's not our fault, it's your adopted parents' fault because they insisted on buying you. But at that time, there were other better families that also wanted you. If it weren't for your adoptive parents that insisted, you probably would have been in a better home now, and none of this would happen.
那你咋不问问你养父母这怎么造成的？
这不跟我养父母。
那谁让他们报呢？他不报，还有别人家好的报呢。
这谁让你们送的？谁让你们送的？
And that was absolutely disgusting and horrifying. Imagine being a 15-year-old and you're told that it's your fault, your adoptive parents' fault that your biological parents abandoned you, and your whole existence is basically a mistake, and nobody wanted you in their life. and then you were also struggling to pay for the bills. And then before he died, in his suicide note, he said that he had a bank account that he saved up the money from his part-time job and also the money that he earned through social media or donations from the netizens. And before he ended his life, he said, half of the money I want to give to my adoptive grandparents because they were so hard. They put in so much effort in raising me up. And then he also donated half of the savings he had to an orphanage in Hebei, which was the province he was in. This whole incident was so heartbreaking to me because I just saw how cold people are. And even this happens within families when the survival pressure is so high that you cannot even, that you can do nothing but look out for your own interest. You start to even harm your own children, your own family. And that's a tragic of the society. When you see systematic oppression on children in a society, that's when you know that society is fucked up. And that's when you know that something needs to change. Let me help you contextualize how tragic or how serious this systematic oppression against children is in China. If you were to ask anybody my age or my parents' age, they will tell you, at least if it's not their own story, they will tell you at least their friends or people of acquaintances' story that they had to buy their children from the government, from the authority, because they can't have more than one child, or that somebody is being given away, most likely a girl or a disabled young boy. And then in a lot of Chinese people's eyes, being a girl is a form of disability, and that's why they want to give you away when they see you being born as a young woman. And then I remember when I was born, my grandparents, my grandma on my dad's side, was suggesting that my mom could have another kid, and maybe she could try again and have a boy instead. And it took my mom fighting for me, saying that if she were to say anything like that again, they will never see me ever again. They will never see their granddaughter, and let alone any possibility of having a grandson. But my mom had to fight for me simply because I was a girl and they wanted a boy. And I know water has been under the bridge by this point, but I just cannot get over. And I know a lot of relatives that were in this situation, being abandoned, and also their biological parents were saying it's a blessing that they were given away because their adoptive families were doing so much better. I know one of them is in Japan right now, and two of them are still in China, and a lot of them are having problem with dating and having a lot of attachment issues. So I just want to say this is severe. This is a huge problem. And this young boy's death doesn't just represent himself. It represents the tragedy of a system, of a society, and that this society is broken. I couldn't help but wonder how would have he turned out if he were to be adopted by an American family. And I know a lot of Americans would say America isn't that much better either, but trust me, he would have been alive if he were to live in the US. But then on a second thought, I know Liu Xuezhou would have never been adopted by foreign couples because there would be way too many Chinese couples that would be waiting in line just to adopt him so that they could have a baby boy. It was a blessing, but also a curse for Liu Xuezhou and so many other more Chinese orphans. And I have a lot of thoughts boiling in my head that I cannot articulate in this video, but I do want to narrate this story to the audience that probably would have never heard of this story before, and spread the message. And no matter how dark and heavy it might appear. And I just want to tell Liu Xuezhou, this young boy that is probably already in heaven right now, you deserve so much better than what you were offered. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.